What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Thank you for clicking onto this reaction. I hope you're looking forward to it just as much as I am. If you haven't already, head over to the content creators page. That link is in the description box down below. If you haven't already and you're enjoying our content, you know what you need to do. You need to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, but we're going to jump straight into this one. So, the Operation Room, Iwo Jima Animated Part 2, Raise the Flag. Let's go.
This video is sponsored by NordVPN. A VPN or virtual private network allows you to securely and safely what you guarantee. An earth-shaking artillery barrage begins. Naval guns, marine artillery and tanks bombard Japanese positions on Mount Suribachi. The 28th Marine Regiment of the 5th Marine Division is to assault the volcano at 8 AM. The 28th's commander, Colonel Harry Liversidge, is unsatisfied despite the heavy volume of fire and shouts at his operations officer, "Ask for all of it."
I mean, you can chuck as much as you want, but if they're entrenched inside the mountain, there's only so much your bombardments are going to be able to do, right? Absolutely crazy. Yo, Peter, I hope you're doing good.
40 Corsairs from Task Force 51's carriers dive in on the mountain, firing rockets and dropping napalm on suspected enemy positions while the Marines anxiously wait in their foxholes. Today will be the big push to capture the Japanese stronghold, which has been marked as a priority objective. However, at 8 AM there is no order to advance. Marine officers look up from their watches with nervous faces as the artillery fire slackens. Liversidge has been promised Sherman tanks to support his advance, but they have been delayed by harassing mortar fire and traffic jams on the beach. He has
So do you wait for the tanks or do you continue on with your move?
no choice but to wait.
Yeah, that's what
On
I'm
the
saying.
mountain,
I would wait.
the 2,000
You'd have
Japanese defenders emerge from carefully concealed caves and tunnels to reman their defensive positions. Every second the Marines do not attack gives the enemy more time to prepare for the onslaught ahead. It's the third day of the battle on Iwo Jima. The first two have been brutal, with some Marine units suffering 83% casualties during the initial advance inland. In the centre, the southern airfield has been captured and engineers are brought in to repair the landing strip.
Why? Because they want
In
to
the
use it, I
east,
assume?
the rock quarry, which
Of course they want to use it. It's so close to Japan, they want to use it for their own ships to be able to threaten Japan for a attack onto the homeland, right?
has decimated the 24th and 25th Marine Regiments, is finally on the verge of falling. However, all eyes will be on the southwest, where the climactic battle for Mount Suribachi
No worries,
is about to
DZ.
begin.
I'll see you soon, alright? I hope you get your homework done. It's not
Colonel
too hard for you.
Liversidge continues to hold out hope that his promised armour will show up, but by 8:30 AM he can wait no longer. The order...
No, you wait another day. You just push it back. It's a war of attrition at this point. You wait another day, you bombard them, and you wait for your tanks to be in the right position so you can do everything right tomorrow.
goes out to begin the assault. The US Marines
Risk.
charge out of
Too
their
much
foxholes
risk.
and begin the climb up Mount Suribachi under heavy
So
fire.
many men are going to die.
The fighting is brutal and close quarters most of the way up the mountain. As they climb higher, many American units are given a nasty shock when they suddenly find themselves under attack from behind. The Japanese positions are interconnected by subterranean tunnels, meaning they can be reoccupied by the defenders after the Marines think they have neutralized the threat.
Oh no 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 no. I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay, thank you. Fuck that. Straight up, hard, I'ma say it with chest. Fuck that. You imagine that you think that your rear is secured. These bunkers that you have emptied out are absolutely fine, so you have no worry. And then as you're running up, you start seeing your boys around you start falling. But it's not through shots in front of you, it's through shots behind, because they're able... You would be constantly petrified that you are not going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Because if I just take the next bunker, they're going to go behind me again. What we're doing is absolutely pointless. That's fucking terrifying. Fuck that. Fuck that.
The Marines counter this with flamethrower units, whose grim task is to clear out the Japanese blockhouses one by one. Chuck Lindbergh of Easy Company in the 2nd Battalion carries 72 pounds of jellied gasoline in a pressurised tank on his back as part of a 2-man flamethrower crew. Lindbergh and his comrade are called upon to clear an enemy pillbox. As part of a Marine technique known as corkscrew and blowtorch, Lindbergh moves up to the firing line, while fellow Marines intensify their fire towards the pillbox. When ready, Marines use BAR light machine guns to provide suppressive fire, while the 2 men run towards the enemy position.
Right.
Lindbergh approaches the pillbox and squeezes the trigger on his M2 flamethrower, shooting molten fire into the gun port. The heat is so...
Yeah, flamethrowers were terrible as well. Imagine being one of those bunkers and you just see flame coming in. That's it. Because once that's like the type of shit they use in those gas canisters, once you're lit, you're lit. It's hard to get that shit out.
So intense that ammunition inside the bunker starts cooking off, and the oxygen is sucked from the tunnel within. His comrade then runs around and tosses a satchel charge through the gun port, blowing whatever is left inside to smithereens. Lindbergh signals the position is clear, and the rest of his platoon moves up.
But once again, clear for how long? If they can just come back to it and through the tunnels, like, it's not going to be clear for long, is it?
Lindbergh repeats this dangerous work as the Marines steadily advance up Mount Suribachi. He will be awarded the Silver Star for bravery under fire on D+2.
Nice, well played, my soldier.
By late afternoon, victory on the mountain is within the Americans' grasp. The Japanese garrison has been worn down and is running critically low on ammunition. Yet, they have no intention of giving up on Suribachi yet. A Navy spotter aircraft sights Japanese troops opposite Lindbergh's Easy Company's position, forming up for a banzai charge, a dreaded final charge intended to inflict maximum casualties on the Marines.
I thought that was, I thought the commander, the Japanese commander, forbade that.
At the cost of the Japanese attackers' lives. 2nd Platoon Leader Sergeant Mike Strank orders his men to hunker down, while Corsairs dive in to strafe and rocket the Japanese attackers. Once the aircraft bank away, Strank jumps to his feet and shouts, "Let's show them what a real banzai is like. Easy Company, charge." Easy leaps from behind cover and charges the 100 yards up the exposed volcanic slope, surprising the Japanese who had been forming up to attack.
They weren't expecting it.
To the right of 2nd Platoon, 3rd Platoon also charges with bayonets fixed, but
holy shit, these American soldiers have some big cojones. Some big cojones.
Is pinned down by the few remaining Japanese bunkers. Realising they can't break through without tank support, Sergeant Ernst Boots Thomas sprints 75 yards to the nearest Sherman to direct fire against the pillboxes. While running, he has his carbine shot out of his hands. Undeterred, he then runs back to his men and leads them forward until they come under fire from another bunker. Thomas repeats the process, sprinting back and forth between his men and the tanks while the Marines advance up the mountain.
That boy must just be absolute, like, must be the fittest soldier there running to and from. Japanese during World War II were a whole other degree of fanatical. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I've heard so much about it. Like, they literally were dying for their cause, which is one of the most encapsulizing things about it. Do you know what I mean? Like they were so fanatical, and that's what's so interesting about the Japanese military during this period of time. How
when they reach the Japanese who were forming up for a banzai charge, the ensuing hand-to-hand fighting is brutal. Without a rifle, Thomas slashes at the enemy with his... Ultimately, the weakened Japanese defenders are no match for the Marines, who overcome the enemy position. After the death of every single defender, Sergeant Strank and Thomas's men find themselves alone near...
I really like the animated style that Operation Room is doing here, with how the fallen soldiers are shown by the flags and the live soldiers are shown by the obviously shot soldier images we have here. Very cool, well made maps.
Suribachi's summit, as Thomas waves his knife aloft in victory.
Keeps me engaged.
Boots Thomas will be awarded the Navy Cross and is killed on Iwo Jima 12 days later. On the
What a
21st of
shame.
February alone, Marines of Easy Company will receive a Medal of Honor, 4 Navy Crosses, 2 Silver Stars, and many Purple Hearts. Their achievements are not without sacrifice, however, as Easy Company suffers 30% casualties on the day.
Wow. Easy Company, you done well, and rest in peace to all the fallen soldiers.
At the summit of Mount Suribachi, the Marines settle into their foxholes and are awed by an unexpected show from the sea. The ships of the invasion fleet have picked up 32 Japanese aircraft on radar, and anti-aircraft tracers fill the skies off Iwo Jima. The Japanese aircraft have taken off from the nearby island of Hakijujima and head for the American carriers to the east of the island. At 6:45 p.m, they locate the carrier task force centered on the USS Saratoga, whose aircraft have been providing close air support for the Marines on Iwo Jima. The Japanese aircraft are arriving at the worst possible time for the US carriers. Their combat air patrol numbers only 6 fighters due to the lack of daylight. Cecil Gentry is a radio operator on the destroyer escort USS Lawrence Taylor and is monitoring radio traffic from Iwo Jima when the carrier task force receives an air raid warning. As naval anti-aircraft guns light up the night sky, Gentry can see the Japanese formation diving on the ships.
How many
These are
How many of the aircraft get through?
kamikazes, pilots who intend to crash themselves into the American vessels, hoping to sink them in the process.
Gentry watches in stunned fascination as 6 Jill torpedo bombers scream toward the escort carriers Lunga Point and Bismarck Sea. The anti-aircraft fire brings down 4 of the attackers, but 1 kamikaze gets through and hits Lunga Point. Luckily, the shallow angle of the collision only grazes the flight deck, starting a minor fuel fire. However, the Bismarck Sea is less fortunate. Gentry spots an incoming kamikaze which flies directly over the bridge of Lawrence Taylor, so close that Gentry will later recall that I could see the face of the Japanese pilot. I could see the fear of death on his face. The Jill strikes Bismarck Sea and detonates inside the main hangar, which is crowded with aircraft and munitions. 2 minutes later, a second kamikaze strikes the ship and causes a massive explosion which rips the carrier in half. Bismarck Sea sinks in a...
There's like nothing you can do in that scenario. Like the moment that the airplane kamikaze hits your ship, and you're one of the Navy SEALs, I believe, on the ship, or just one of the Marines on the ship. Like, what are you doing at that point? Once your ship gets blown up, like, and you're alive, how are you dealing with that? Like, how are you going to get yourself out of that situation? Absolutely terrifying.
a matter of minutes,
Not
becoming the
drowning,
last US carrier to be sunk by enemy fire in the Second World War.
But it was the
Escorts
last
move in to
one.
pick up survivors. The USS Saratoga is also heavily damaged from 2 direct hits from kamikazes. Altogether,
It's not
almost
sunk, is it?
500 American naval personnel are killed on this night.
On D+3, poor weather hampers American air support.
Like, what was the intended purpose of that attack? Like, did they really think that that was going to do that much damage? Or was it more for a morale victory than anything else?
Limiting infantry attacks on the ground. In the north, rocket trucks are brought in to blast the remaining Japanese positions in the rock quarry. Lieutenant Colonel Justice Chambers is once again leading from the front, rallying his men of the 3rd Battalion, 25th Marine Regiment, when he is shot through the chest by a Japanese sniper. As Chambers is about to succumb to shock, his friend, Captain James Headley, kicks him in the feet, shouting, "Get up, you were hurt worse on Tulagi." Chambers is evacuated on the last transport off the island before nightfall, and is later awarded the Medal of Honor.
Nice! Nice!
To the left of the 3rd Battalion, 25th Marine Regiment, the American units also begin a slow advance on the northern airfield. On Mount Suribachi, the 28th Regiment shrinks the Japanese perimeter to just 400 yards by nightfall, forcing Colonel Kanehiko Atsuki into a rash decision. Atsuki orders his men to abandon their positions and break out to the north to rejoin the new defensive line. However, poor communications lead to only 150 men attempting the breakout.
That it?
They are caught in the open by American machine guns and are cut to pieces.
What a failed attempt. Why?
Only 25 make
What
it
a
to the friendly
blunder.
lines, where they inform General Kuribayashi that Mount Suribachi has fallen. At the base of the mountain, Colonel Liversidge visits 2nd Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Chandler Johnson and gives him a simple command: tomorrow we climb. Daylight breaks on D+4, the 23rd of February, to reveal more wind and rain, but the weather clears by mid-morning. Lieutenant Colonel Johnson orders a patrol from Fox Company to probe the summit of Mount Suribachi.
Okay.
The 4-man patrol carefully climbs the last few yards to the top of the extinct volcano, cautiously checking every pillbox and bunker for enemy activity. However, they encounter no Japanese resistance and make it to the top without any trouble. They report their findings to Colonel Johnson, who decides to send a stronger patrol. He radios Captain Dave Severance, commander of Easy Company, and orders him to send a 40-man group to the summit.
The big group?
Severance's executive officer, Lieutenant George Schreier, will lead the men. Before he leaves, Johnson hands Lieutenant Schreier a US flag to take with him. He tells him, if you get to the top, put it up. Schreier's larger patrol sets out for the summit at 9:30 am, snaking up the extinct volcano in a single file line. The men aboard the warships off Iwo Jima watch with excitement as the patrol slowly makes its way up. The Marines...
I bet if you was on that ship, you would be waiting minute by minute, just making sure that because it's a big sign of victory if they get to the top, isn't it? So you'd be just waiting.
Take time to throw satchel charges and grenades into any enemy pillbox they find, but they are not fired on. Finally, at 10 am, the patrol reaches the summit to find no Japanese defenders. 20 minutes later, Lieutenant Schreier and his men affix Colonel Johnson's flag to a pole and raise it above Mount Suribachi. Across Iwo Jima, Marines cheer and whistle while the naval ships offshore sound their horns.
Nice.
The celebration is short-lived.
Is it?
Private Harold Keller spots a Japanese sniper in a cave entrance on the summit and taking aim at the flag-raising party. Keller quickly fires 3 shots from his hip and kills the sniper.
Nice.
Immediately, a small group of Japanese soldiers emerge from the same cave and start lobbing grenades at the Marines.
Is
A
it only a
firefight
small
breaks
band,
out
though?
as Marines dash for cover and fire back at the Japanese men. It only lasts a few minutes, as the Marines overcome the defenders with grenades and accurate rifle fire. The last Japanese soldier is killed, and calm returns to the summit with the Americans suffering no casualties in the engagement.
Oh, nice.
Secretary of the Navy James Forrestal has accompanied the invasion fleet and is coming ashore with General Holland Smith when he spots the American flag on Mount Suribachi. He turns to the general and remarks, "Holland, the raising of that flag on Suribachi means a Marine Corps for the next 500 years." Forrestal orders General Smith to bring the flag to him so he can take it back to Washington as a souvenir.
Ah, I see.
General Smith phones Lieutenant Colonel Johnson, whose men have just stormed the beaches of Iwo Jima and taken Mount Suribachi, and informs him that the politician would like to keep the flag as a souvenir. Johnson listens before hanging up with disgust. The hell with that. That flag belongs to the men of this battalion. Johnson
Loyalty to those men, it does belong to
sends
them.
his adjutant to the beach to fetch a replacement to give to Forrestal instead, calling after him, and make it a bigger one. A larger replacement flag is swiftly retrieved from the beach and is run up the mountain to the summit. The company runner, René Gagnon, hands the flag to Sergeant Strank and tells him, Colonel Johnson wants this big flag run up high so every son of a bitch on this whole island can see it. The original flag is taken down for Lieutenant Colonel Johnson to put into safekeeping. At 1 PM, 6 men from Easy Company 2nd Battalion 28th Marine Regiment affix the replacement flag to a heavy pipe and raise it over the island. Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal, who survived the first days on Iwo Jima, is there to capture the moment. Rosenthal's picture of the second flag raising on Iwo Jima will become one of the most famous images of the Second World War.
We've all seen that photo, I think.
Politician, Secretary of the Navy James Forrestal never gets his hands on the real flag.
Good. He doesn't
With
deserve
Mount
it.
Suribachi conquered and the southern end of Iwo Jima secured, the battle now shifts to the north. On the following day, D+5, a massive attack is launched on a wide front by the 3rd and 5th Marine Divisions. With the help of overwhelming naval gunfire from the cruiser USS Pensacola and the battleship USS Idaho, the Marines finally overrun the rock quarry. Furthermore, they make significant progress against Iwo Jima's northern airfield. It is the most territory the US has gained in one day since the battle began.
Okay.
Naval High Command believes that victory is
That's good achievements for them so far.
imminent, but the day's encouraging advances are instead providing false hope. The real battle for Iwo Jima is about to begin, as the combat shifts to the broken ground and difficult ridges comprising the northern half of the island. Within a month, Lieutenant Colonel Johnson and half of the Marines who raised the flag atop Mount Suribachi will be dead.
Within a month, most of those men will be dead. That's so scary to think about. And I assume we'll find out how that's going to happen in the next episode. Oh my god. What a great video. What a great little series this is. Thoroughly